Hello and welcome to another Europa Universalis 5 developer diary. Today we're having a look at the Guelphs and the Ghibellines. I believe I am pronouncing that remotely close to how it's pronounced properly. Apologies if not. It is what it is. And also the Italian Wars. So all of the flavor that we've so far enjoyed from, for example, Florence, is just not everything that they get up to. It's not everything that they have for flavor, because there are two very unique situations going on in Italy and that you get to enjoy as well. Of course, remember as well, we have the Milan Dev Diary on Friday, so yeah, this is the Italy week. This is the Italy fix for people. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the nicest of the Dev Diaries, of the Tinto Talks, as it were. Tinto Talks number 69. Hell yeah, nice. Anyway, hello and welcome to another Tinto Talks, the happy Wednesdays where we talk about Europa Universalis 5. Today we'll talk about two situations that impact Italy in the first 200 years of the game. The Guelphs and Ghibellines, not J, it's a G, it's Ghibellines, again, whatever, and the Italian Wars. They're kind of related, but independent in how they play. So, without further ado, some of you may remember the Shadow Empire incident of EU4, where the Emperor races to keep the Italian countries inside the HRE. However, 1 century earlier, the political landscape of Italy was more complex in that regard, as two main political factions had been fighting for about 200 years already. The Guelphs, the defenders of the Pope, and the Ghibellines, the supporters of imperial power. So, political landscape of Italy is an event you will get very, very early into the game. The Guelphs and Ghibellines have been fighting for dominance over Italy for multiple centuries, since the investiture controversy pitted the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor against each other. The Guelphs supported the papal authority over the peninsula, while the Ghibellines are considered imperial loyalists, holding their allegiance true to the Holy Roman Empire. Spiraling beyond their initial positions, both sides now represent a diversity of interests, so the different countries are no strangers to switching sides for their own benefits. So then, at the start of the game, you get to join either with the Papal States or the Holy Roman Empire, or you can tell them both to shove it. That is, unfortunately, what I ended up doing when I played the game back in April, May. There was, I believe, a bug that... Well, I'll get into it when we get to there, but I ended up just leaving the situation entirely, and... So hopefully that bug's been... I mean, I'm sure that bug has been fixed by now. There'll be more to do here. So the Guelphs here, if you are a member, your clergy and your burghers will enjoy that. But you are excluded from imperial protection. So if you are a Guelph and, say, the... Aragon, why not? Say Aragon wants to come and chow down on a little bit of, land in the imperial Italy, but you are a Guelph. I mean, you are not getting protection from the Emperor. This is a really, really cool, I wouldn't say mechanic, right? It's not a mechanic, but it is something that I think modders can use a lot. If you are this, then you are excluded from Imperial Protection. Imperial Protection as a mechanic in and of itself is just a cool thing to add. It's quite nice. So the Guelphs, they have 22 members, led by the Kingdom of Naples, after all. A group of Italian states who align itself with the interests of the Papal States in Italy. It's led by King Robert the Wise d'Anjou. This is the King of Naples. He dies very, very early into the game, though. You have to remember, I don't know if you remember, but the countries that I played the most when I got my hands on the game and played for 85 hours was Naples, Florence, and Milan, and most of it was actually Naples. I played more Naples than anyone else. Anyway, on to the Ghibellines. This will make your nobles and your peasants a bit happier, but you lose monthly religious influence. There are 12 members, led by the Signora of Milan. And here he is, Azzo Visconti. Looks very similar to how Leith did in the intro announcement video. Very cool. So, these are the tags involved with the Ghibellines. Of course, Upper Bavaria is in here because they are the Emperor. But yeah, actually, we have a map of the Guelphs. I think this is interesting, right? Because the HRE does extend down to the Papal States. Like Siena and Florence are in the HRE. So if you are Naples, you're not in the HRE, but it might be in your best interest if you want to expand in Italy to actually just, add you to the Guelphs faction, and now I can attack you with impunity because you are not getting imperial protection. Seems like you have some conflicting interests in that regard, maybe. But here is the Ghibelline map as well. They look quite a lot weaker, I would say. As you can say, Italy starts already divided into the two factions, the Guelphs and Ghibellines, with their own leaders, Naples for the Guelphs and Milan for the Ghibellines. 2 months after the start of the game, you get the event, The Political Landscape of Italy, which starts the situation, and a few days later, this one that allows you to realign early on. While it's customary for each important family to be aligned to either the Guelphs or Ghibellines, it's not unheard of that a particularly opportunistic individuals switch from one side to the other and attempt to convince other states, either by force or diplomatic cunning, to stand up for the rightful side. Or maybe just with the side with more to gain. So for the HRE, for the Pope, or you don't need to change anything. This is the situation itself, with a map of its starting factions. If the player doesn't change anything, the AI will always start in their starting faction by default. That's fair enough. Guelphs and Ghibellines have been fighting for dominance over Italy for multiple centuries since the investiture controversy. I think, actually, this is just something we've read already. Fair enough. But yeah, I would like the colors on the map to change. I would argue that this Naples and Papal State and Bosnia, like, those are 3 different colors. Bosnia obviously is non-aligned, Naples is the leader, and Papal States is a member, and those are all kind of a little too similar. But, you know, some tweaks regarding the coloring still need to be done, which is fair enough. I'm just saying, that's true. It does need to be done. Situation revolves around diplomacy. Each faction will try and get as many Italian countries to join its faction, either by peace or by war. These are the two sides. The leader, I guess, these aren't the countries, of course. Like, the country leader being Naples, this is obviously not the leader of Naples. This is the Pope. So, there's kind of 4 leaders, if you will. Naples leader, Papal leader, Milan leader, and Holy Roman Emperor leader, in a way. And you get some actions that you can do. Both sides get these actions, or something similar to it. And the one that made me leave the faction and leave this situation altogether and not want to take part in it is sanction the papacy, or, in the case of the other side, sanction the empire. Because this essentially increases your trading costs by a certain percentage. I think it was like 5% or something. But it's stacked, and then basically the enemy AI, the leader of the faction, so Milan when I was playing as Naples, and Naples when I was playing as Milan, would click this button on cooldown, increasing my cost for trade by, I can't remember exactly if it was 5% or more, but they just keep increasing it, and at a certain point, I remember I sent a support ticket in the Discord where we were, all the creators were hanging out with the developers while we were playing, basically saying, why am I making no money? Please help. I had, a lot of penalties to my trade output costs, and so I had to leave. And you can leave the faction if you so desire. But yeah, there's also requesting aid and petitioning for support. I can't remember what the petition did. I can't remember clicking it. But yeah, good stuff. Inviting to the Guelphs is something you can do. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure that Diplo Rep will help and all that kind of stuff. But how difficult this will be, I don't really have any answer for that one. But you can force others into your faction with a CB. I would say that conquer cost for attacker should be. I would say conquer cost. It should be impossible to conquer in this. If you are like, I'm going to attack this person right here to force them into our faction, then you shouldn't be allowed to just take their land, right? Because I feel like if you are Naples and you are using this force into faction CB against, I don't know, Siena. 25% is not a big enough increase in war score cost. Hell, it's less than the penalty to conquer cost than you get for the insult CB from the parliaments. So you just use this to attack Siena as Naples, for example, and you just conquer them instead. It feels like this might be a little bit of a workaround, like remove the ability to conquer in this. Subjugate, I'm still fine with. Subjugate, I am still fine with, but it should be more expensive. But yeah, I'd say definitely that could be changed a little bit. Anyway, you can also spend, obviously for the force faction change, you spend your war score. It'll cost 18 only to make Naples switch, and Naples is the largest country in Italy. This seems cheap. Force faction change and then take a bunch of their land, for example. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is way too cheap. As you may see in the panel, some actions can be performed which are slightly different depending on which faction you belong to. So, yeah, Sanction was the one that I didn't like, but I don't... I mean, I read through this already, but they don't go into what request aid is. They don't go into what the support is. I'm trying to remember, and I feel like it's definitely something diplomatic, something like relations with either the Pope or I don't know. I can't remember. Sorry. To end the situation, you need to have 100 progress achieved for your faction in the Age of Discovery. If the Age of Discovery starts in 1437, without one of the factions having won over the other, a stalemate will happen. So the three different outcomes for the situation. If the Guelphs win, all countries with a capital in the Italy region will be forced to leave the HRE. If the Ghibellines win, all countries except Naples, Sicily, the Papal States, or the Two Sicilies, which is a Naples and Sicily formable, will be forced to join the HRE. If neither side can achieve 100% progress before the Age of Discovery starts, whoever is in the Guelphs will either stay out or leave the HRE, and whoever's in the Ghibellines will stay in the HRE. Fair enough. And then here, stale conflict. While we fought for centuries with our rivals, every participant is tired and apathetic in the face of stalemate, a situation that has developed in Italy. Exhausted armies refuse to fight for our cause, and similar stories have been heard from our rivals. In this situation, it seems the best course of action is to let the hostilities rest and recover our strength to fight another day. So you lose some Republican tradition if you are a republic. I assume legitimacy if you're a monarchy, and you lose a bit of prestige as well. Now, on to the Italian Wars a little while after. The Italian Wars is a situation that may be triggered if the Holy Roman Emperor or a French or Iberian foreign power, which is defined here by either being a great power in game terms, being kingdom rank, or having at least 5 million pops, attacks a country in the Italian region after the Age of Discovery has started. War has come to Italy. The banners of foreign conquerors flock to usurp the great wealth held within our peninsula. Never before has our region fallen amid such a power struggle, as great powers circle our home like hungry vultures. It's time for our people to pick up the sword and shield in favor of protecting our freedom, lest we fall victim to the expansionist tendencies of outsiders. So it was a series of violent conflicts to determine the domination of Italy, mainly fought by France and Spain, with a substantial part of Europe involved in this clash of powers. They began when Charles VIII of France invaded Italy in 1494, taking Naples. But Maximilian I of Habsburg and Isabella of Castile and Ferdinand of Aragon, the Catholic kings of Spain, rushed to the aid of the Pope to drive him out. The King of France then took Milan, Genoa, and Naples again in 1499, but Spain expelled them back from Naples in 1503, asserting their control over southern Italy, and Pope Julius II formed an alliance to push the French out of northern Italy. Very cool. Alia Acta Est. Nice. So, during the time, states in Italy will be able to defend themselves by joining an Italian league. Foreign countries may create their own foreign leagues in a bid to expand their influence in the region, and then rivals and enemies of foreign league leaders may intervene to assist Italian leagues through the war or aid in the form of coin and mint. That's really, really cool. I like that. Leaders of each league gain access to dissolve their league peace treaty. Okay. For over a century, Italy has prospered due to our advantageous position in Europe. Foreign trade, wealth, and the Renaissance have ushered in a golden age for the many countries that populate the peninsula. However, this has attracted the gaze of outside powers who seek to grasp Italy's prosperity, usurping the independence of smaller political states. Now, the strongest among them have gathered around Italian leagues in an effort to repel the invaders. So, as you can see, 3 foreign leagues, one centered around each region, so the HRE, France, and Iberia will be formed, while 3 Italian leagues will also be formed. The chosen countries are regarded as more powerful in each region. They are also thinking of adding a Balkan League, but it wasn't working as they were hoping, so it was scrapped, though it could return if they work it out. Also, if you notice the character portraits, they apparently was a complaint, not really a complaint, but on the forum somebody said that the old people don't really look old enough. So they have added some posing from, I guess, a bit like CK3. And so these guys are a bit hunched over, bad backs kind of thing. So that's why they're kind of like this. And here we go. He forced the situation through the console command, so the RNG gifted us with a regent in France. The main countries chosen as league leaders were quite similar to the more powerful ones in 1337. So we have our Iberian League, we have our French League, I imagine it's, Austria as the HRE League, and then the 3 Italian leagues are Naples, Sicily, and Pavia, Padua, Aquileia, and then Genoa is the other one as well. Cool stuff. As you can see, there's also a mix of diplomacy and war that can be conducted to attract other countries to your sphere. You can either do diplomatic actions to invite them, or you can conquer them through force to incorporate them into your league. The situation can end either if any league controls or has the support of 200 locations in Italy, or 50 years after the start of the Italian Wars, the foreign leagues don't have any locations in Italy. Alright. So, the results may be the following. The end of the Italian Wars. Decades of struggle and the unending strife to protect our region has come to an end under our mighty league. The shadow of foreign invaders no longer plagues our borders as our people look to the future, carving a prosperous route to the ages. Fortuitus quo fidelius. Gain trust with every other member of our league and 20 prestige. And then victory in the Italian Wars is monthly army tradition and Diplo reputation for 15 years. That's okay. And then the French League's victory in Italy. Despite fierce and unyielding resistance for decades, Italy now lies firmly and largely under our grasp. Those who sought to interfere with our plans now cower behind tall walls, fleeing the marching of our great armies. Today marks a new age of the region and our unquestionable claim upon it. So you gain 20 prestige and victory in the Italian Wars for 10 years. This is such a small, minor, insignificant modifier. And it's temporary. I don't... Look, there are some comments already and some responses from the devs that we're going to go into that basically are going to say the same thing as I am going to anyway. I understand that Tinto don't want to do the same thing that they've done in EU4 with lots of, perma modifier stacking, and that being basically the way that you become powerful is stacking your modifiers. They don't want to do that. I totally understand that. I totally get that. I accept that, and I kind of agree with that. But, say you are playing as Castile. What business, what reason do you have for getting involved here other than to, say, stop France from getting involved here? I don't want France to take a bunch of this. And then if that happens, the fighting will essentially, as it was in real life apparently as well, all be around the Pyrenees. You're not going to fight each other in Italy. You're not going to ship your troops over here just to fight France over here. Like, that's not going to happen. But obviously taking land is taking land, but you're going to have low control over here for starters. It's going to be an issue that you need to deal with. I mean, obviously it is rich territory, and basically you want that territory, but that's not really what I'm seeing here as the reason for these leagues, right? Spain got involved to counter France. They didn't get involved to take land for themselves. I mean, I suppose they did because they got Naples out of it, but it's... If the only bonus I'm getting for this is this 15-year, honestly, nothing burger and 20 prestige, I don't think I'd bother. I really don't think I'd bother. I mean, as an Austria, I would bother just to try and get, like, the Venice region. You know, I mean, historically, Austria did get, you know, Venice and Milan, you know, Lombardy and Venezia. So I guess in that regard, but I don't know. It's just, I don't want to have the game be a case of how can I stack the most perma modifiers? Yeah. But also, sometimes, I mean, for 10 years and a weak modifier that I can ignore? No, this is not enough. 50 years of something stronger? Yes. I'd bother for that. But for 10 years of nothing? Nah, I'm good. But anyway, let's have a look and see what else the community is saying. So, Mantua should be part of the Ghibellines at the start, since after a coup in 1328, Ludovico I Gonzaga, who was a supporter of the emperor, became the de facto signore of the city. That was by Matfer, and Pavia agrees, and they fixed it. Cool, good, I like to see that. In the Guelphs and Ghibellines situation, it says score is determined by the number of tags in each group. Does that mean we're disincentivized from attacking fellow Guelph factions, thereby suggesting we don't expand? Might not be better if it's done by the number of locations under the control of all Guelphs and Ghibellines tags, like the Italian Wars. So the progress is not determined by the number of tags. It just isn't. It's by the tax base of the members. Also takes into account the economic power of the members. In any case, you might have one incentive to support fellow Guelphs because of the situation. You might also have a different incentive to attack fellow Guelphs because of the political situation, as happened every other Tuesday in 14th century Italy. Even when I was, like, before I realized I had the bug, which cost my trade significantly, I kind of wasn't taking part in the Guelphs versus Ghibellines thing. I was just kind of doing my own thing. It did feel a little bit ignorable. I think it would be nice if the AI were kind of incentivized to, say if I'm a Guelph and I attack a Ghibelline, they should be able to, even without an alliance, get fellow Ghibelline members to join them in that war. That, I think, might be an idea. Because, yeah, and then attacking your own side, I don't think you should get, like, random other Guelphs to come help, but, yeah, I mean, the standard incentive of the EU4 player of, I see target, I want expand my border, please, is still gonna be there, and, you know, maybe you're gonna lose the situation because of that. I don't know. We'll see. Does it have any lasting consequences, or is it just a temporary modifier? It's something that they discussed, and they prefer to have it something temporary for a couple of reasons. It fits better with the game spirit of not granting perma modifiers as candy. I mean, fair enough, but the modifier you did grant is weak and lasts for basically no time. If you already control 200 locations in Italy, either directly or through diplomacy, you're probably strong enough by that point, and the reward of controlling as much of Italy already feels adequate. I mean, fair enough, but still. Why would I, as an Italian republic in the HRE, want other Italian republics to join the HRE? Is there anything bigger as a reward as a foreigner involving myself in the Italian leagues if I win? 20 prestige and some minor modifiers for 10 years hardly seems like a worthwhile thing. Yeah. But, I mean, the answer to why would an Italian republic in the HRE want other Italian republics in the HRE is then you can join the Guelphs or be neutral. I kind of feel like I should have incentive to remain in the HRE and want others to join the HRE. Like, I should want that. There should be some incentive, gameplay-wise, mechanics-wise, to want to be in the HRE and have more people there as well. I don't know. And again, for the Italian leagues, 20 precision minor modifier for 10 years seems like a worthwhile reward. I agree. Vassalizations or permanent modifiers is something I would bother with. Also agree. Doesn't seem like it's worth it versus all the other things I could spend my limited diplomatic capacity on. So being the leader or member of one of the leagues opens up additional diplomatic actions and CBs that can only be obtained by playing it. You can always decide not to bother or mess with Italy around, but maybe one of the other countries does, and so gets a strong foothold in a rich Italy. I mean, sure. This is, I guess, like the main incentive, stopping your rival from getting a bunch of rich Italy. But at the same time, I don't know. And there is the comment about the pose of the characters looking a little bit hunched over. The 3D team is doing some animation tests and tweaks in the current build, and that's why it appears like that. Very cool. Very cool. I really like the situation concept, and I think it has a lot of potential. I think it gives more incentives and depth than simply fulfilling a mission. I understand the use for the Guelphs to dismantle the HRE in Italy for further conquest and unification, but what does the Ghibellines get from the victory except making the HRE Emperor stronger? And can the Holy Roman Emperor directly intervene in the conflict? So, if you are a Ghibelline, then you might want to win to weaken the Guelph side. If the papacy overcomes the initial eternal problems, has a lot of potential due to the Catholic tithe, and also taking into account that the Guelph IO leader is Naples, which is by far the strongest country in Italy in 1337, and you might decide to side with the imperial side just to fight over its supremacy. Fair enough. I'm against awarding game-breaking modifiers for winning, but introducing strategic map changes, trade benefits, or other moderate advantages could serve as a good incentive. A minor victory, for example, could increase market access. I like that a lot, actually. That works real nice. If you are, say, France, and you win the Italian wars via diplomacy and having market access, like even permanent market access, or like give me a foreign building in the market capitals that gives me that market access, would be great. Give players a reason to keep fighting and secure these smaller yet meaningful rewards. I agree. Even if we want a kind of a weaker reward, not in reinforced snowballing, we'll probably make some tweaks nonetheless. Yeah. This is a great idea, though. Primogenito Alex. Fantastic idea. I really like this. Really, really like this. A new throne room background looks amazing. Is it reserved only for Italians, or who gets it? It's the new European courtroom. They wanted something more medieval for the start of the game. I think I completely missed it, so I'm going to go and have a look and see if I can see it. This one, oh yeah. No, you know what? You know what? That is kind of hot. That is kind of hot. I kind of like it. That's kind of hot. I think, I mean, there isn't one for the Pope, but the Pope should get a unique one. This is also the kind of thing that I think was probably going to come in with DLC. I mean, you hate on it as much as you like. This game is going to get DLC, and I think there are going to be region and or tag and or culture flavored DLCs. So if we get, for example, a Naples DLC, then it's going to probably come with a throne room for Naples that is very Neapolitan in style. I just think that's going to happen. And I'm for it. I'm in favor of it. Where are we up to here? Why the Papal States, Naples, and the Two Sicilies exempt from this? This is basically if the Ghibellines win, or Ghibellines, sorry, if they win all the Italian states except Naples, Two Sicilies, and Papal State, join the HRE. It sounds somewhat weaker than the other side, which gets the entirety of Italy. Makes no sense this way for Naples or the Pope to really care about the conflict, given that they're in no danger themselves of going into the HRE. And that answer is because historically they were never part of the HRE, even when Frederick II ruled as King of Sicily. That's fair enough. And why is the Italian Wars reserved for just these countries? Why is there not any European kingdom or great power? Surely if the English controlled the entirety of France, like winning the 100 Years' War perhaps, and then set foot in Italy, it should trigger it too. Or if the Hungarian-Croatian kings went on an Italian campaign like how Louis of Anjou did in the 1350s. Or even if the Romans, Byzantines, whatever, grow strong again and marched against Italy. So they had an initial design with a fourth foreign and Italian league to cover the Balkan front, but it worked a bit weirdly. Maybe they could tweak the triggers a bit so it doesn't make it so restrictive, but take into account that they want the situations to work well with a historical situation before moving too much into the alt historical narratives. I mean, sure, but I do like alt history, so hopefully that is... you know what, this would be cool, you know? I like the idea of the Hungarians having a front. Why not? Is there a way to force the Italian wars to be fought in Italy, or is it going to turn into a meaningless situation in which Spain and France conquer each other to death, EU4 style? So the situation outcome just depends on the locations controlled in Italy. So if Spain and France decide to fight each other over the Pyrenees borders, which happened historically, it's up to them, but it won't impact the situation directly. That's fair enough. I still think other countries than France and Iberian should be able to participate in the Italian wars. What about Austria, Hungary, even Serbia? Read Devdari, they're in it. One of the leagues is the Imperial one, so it's not only the French and the Iberians. As I mentioned in another reply that we just read, they're considering making a fourth set of leagues, Balkanic and fourth Italian, but it works a bit odd. They may recover it in the future if they think it may be beneficial for the situation. I hope they do. Are French and Iberian countries determined by the region of the capital, or, for example, England holding territory in France get involved as a French country? So currently, it's by having the capital in the region, but they think it probably should be adjusted to consider some other stuff, because if you're playing as England and you win the 100 Years' War and you get the front of France, eventually annexing it, it kind of sucks not being a part of the Italian War situation. True. Fair. Is it 100% necessary to have a French and a Spanish side in the Italian War, considering how these conflicts were not just about each country's league control over Italy, but about French and Aragonese claims over Naples and Milan? Wouldn't it make more sense to have the situation start whenever two or more important nations external to Italy have a claim over Italian nation, and then these nations would form their own league? That way we could have a fun alternate history and a lot more replayability. So, they have tried to abstract not only the specific claims over Naples and Milan that led to the fight around the late 1400s, early 1500s, but also considered the interventions that either directly through cadet branches of both France and Aragon sustained since the second half of the 13th century, which is also very present at the start of the game, with the House of Anjou ruling over Naples and the House of Barcelona ruling over Sicily with a foothold on Sardinia. Fair enough. Yeah, it's basically these wars happened because of specific claims, but those specific claims may not happen in the game because as soon as you unpause, you're already into alt history territory. And I guess this leads to a wider question on where do you want the game to be in regards to alt history setup and scenarios. Personally, as a fan of alt history, I'm totally fine with them abstracting scenarios like these that happened historically to work into the game regardless of whether they should or not. So to reword myself, because I realized that sounded a little bit silly, while I really like alt history, I'm okay with historical scenarios being imprinted later on into the game that have no basis in the alt history that I've played up to that point. So even if, he says here about Anjou and Naples, Barcelona and Sicily, even if both of these are gone and conquered, and if the French and the Spanish have no claims in Italy, I'm still fine with those Spanish wars coming up. Not Spanish wars, the Italian wars coming about, because it's a cool scenario, and you know what? Maybe I can just push it to the side of my mind that, there's no reason for it to happen in the game that I'm playing, as maybe my ignorance. I don't know that these guys don't have a claim. I don't, I can imagine that they do. I can pretend that, it's just my own ignorance of what everyone's diplomacy is. Hope I explained that well enough. Either way, that is the final comment that we have to look at. Let's have a look at this art again, because it's gorgeous, and I love it. And, yeah, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoy me rambling about this game that we're all so hyped about, click the subscribe button. I will be back on Friday or Saturday, depending on stuff, having a look at the Milanese and Neapolitan Tinto flavor. I'm looking forward to that as somebody who played a lot of Naples and Milan in the time I got with the game. They are both very fun countries, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what flavor I may have missed. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.